Yeah. You want to follow that?
Yeah, I'm sure you will. I've talked to a lot of people in the community on this issue as well. I've met with AIM teachers. I have talked with more parents than I can count. I've met with neighborhood teachers, and there's a variety of opinion in our community about the changes that we're proposing to happen. Some people, 3 people called me today, said it's not far enough. This is not far enough. This is not in line with your motion. Some people are saying, you know what, this is all right, this is fine. And some people are saying, no, it's too much, it's too fast. I think we have to acknowledge all those opinions and listen to each other. But we do, we did pass a motion. People ask, well, where did the 98% come from? Where did a lot of these recommendations come from? We passed a motion in June, before school ended, might I add, that the focus of the assessment will be to identify students whose needs cannot be met in classrooms which fully implement best practices of differentiated instruction. Yes, we have work to do in differentiation. Yes, we have some teachers, many teachers in fact, who are doing it fabulously well already. But we as a board have moved in a direction where, as Jill talked about, a needs-based program. Students who really would have trouble functioning in a neighborhood classroom. And I wanted to make some other commentary about just the tenor of the conversation. I think we all live in this small town together. My hope is that we don't hurt each other so much that we can't be allies on other issues. I mean, some of the rhetoric tonight has been, as Greg said, very nasty and hurtful. And I really don't think there's a place for that in this conversation. We don't need to throw each other under the bus to have a discussion about this. I think there's lots of talk about kids being at the very least disengaged in the neighborhood programs, and at worst being harmed in the neighborhood programs. There are comments mostly made by people who haven't even tried the neighborhood programs, and the analogy that came to my mind was a kid who said, well, I don't like green beans, but have you ever tried green beans? Well, no. I haven't tried green beans. And so if you haven't been in the neighborhood program, if you haven't experienced differentiation in the neighborhood program, please don't tell me that your kid can't be served in that program, because you really don't know. And I think, with an average of 31% of AIM identified students opting out of AIM, these students and students of all ability levels are being served very well by teachers in the neighborhood program. I think that what we uncovered when we looked at the testing data was that that the AIM program is made up of, the current iteration of the AIM program is made up of kids by all ability levels. You have kids who scored very high on the LSAT. You have kids who scored in every decile of the LSAT and entered through private testing or the TONY. So obviously the AIM teachers are having to differentiate. And then in the neighborhood program, I mean, I have colleagues, friends who, they have 8 AIM-identified students in their neighborhood program, 7 AIM-identified students in their neighborhood classroom, along with kids of all other ability levels. So really, I think we're kind of playing a semantics game here, because what we're looking at is a class that's labeled AIM, a class that's labeled neighborhood, and in fact, they're very similar populations. I'm hoping to continue the dialogue. I think Susan's idea about getting out there and talking to people who can't make time to come to board meetings is a good idea, and I'm all for continuing the discussion as we need to. And that said, we're on a timeline. We have students who are taking the LSAT in a week, and we have to decide how we're going to move forward. So that's where I'm at.